We did an upgrade to our UI and our UX, and it looks a lot better. It looks very modern. Everything looks great. We went ahead and we created our breadcrumbs, our categories. We filled out the code for filtering, and we're essentially set up now to start creating the skeleton of our actual business profile. What's up, guys and girls, and welcome to the second video of building in public a business directory website with the goal of hitting 100,000 monthly visitors. So now we're on to phase 3, which is going to be centralizing Supabase queries, show categories and cities on the home page, and confirm that they appear locally and on Netlify. So this is the code in which we got back, and I went ahead and popped that into a Bolt, and we did get an error that popped up, which is an error related to Supabase. So in Supabase, as I mentioned before, you have your Supabase URL and you have your Supabase anon key, and that is what essentially connects the project to Supabase. So that Supabase is connected to Bolt. Bolt knows that these are the actual categories. These are the actual tables. So in addition to connecting your tool directly with the integration, you also have to add in your Supabase URL and your Supabase code into your environment environment file on your actual application. So when I went ahead and did that, I ran into a couple of issues. So it couldn't find the Supabase imported model. So what I had to do is I then went ahead and popped that into ChatGPT to ask it, what is the issue? So it gave me a couple of different issues here. Because it was essentially never installed on an SDK inside of the mono repo, so Vite can't resolve. I don't know what that means, whatever, right? So I went ahead and I took that information, I popped it in again to Bolt, and the next issue that we got was that the Supabase environmental variables were now missing. So even though I went ahead and entered into my env file here, right, my information, it was still not being shown. So what I had to do is I went into Netlify, right? So this is my build. So just go on to build, and then let's go back to projects. It should be here. Yep. So it's on projects now, and then head over to project configuration. We're gonna then go to environmental variables, and we went ahead and we added in our public Supabase anon key and our public Supabase URL. So we added it into Netlify. So it securely stores your secrets, API tokens, and other environmental variables. So this is what we had to do to ensure that it would find those URLs. And then I think even when we did that, we still had another issue. So same issue, missing Supabase environmental variables. And it says that the guard is firing because Astro still can't see the real values for it. So when I went ahead and entered in this solution here, right? So we checked if it's a correct file name. Variable names start with public because they all have to be the same name. So it has to be public underscore real non-mask values. And then we restarted it. That actually worked. Once that worked, I went ahead and I deployed it onto Netlify. And as you can see, everything that we had on the preview was also on the website. So I knew that everything was working well. So while that was good, the website, as you can see here, it kind of looked a little bland. You can kind of barely see there, but it looked very bland. So what I went ahead and did was I first told it that I wanted to do phase 4, but then I recanted that and I said, before we do phase 4, this is what the application looked like. As you can see, everything looks a little bit weird. It's center formatted. It doesn't look the best. I told it that before I do so, I want you to upgrade the UI and UX, make it look more modern, with proper spacing and a header menu, a footer, and a more complete site with global settings so that the interface is consistent throughout, and add a big global search bar on the homepage where users can search for any business, and just upgrade the UX to add some images, subtle Guyanese images, tropical images, and it gave me this pretty long prompt here. And then I went ahead and just essentially copied over that prompt and pasted it into Bolt. And as you can see here, we got a beautiful design. Let's go ahead and load this up. But yeah, everything here looks really, really good. I'm really happy with the progress that we're making here. This is exactly what I wanted. Maybe this could have been a little bit more, I don't know, colorful. It could have some more elements, some emojis into it, but honestly, that's totally fine. I'm okay with that. I like how it looks. It looks great. So now we can move on. on our original build, we have a lot of filtering options, and I think this is going to be a very popular feature because everyone just wants to filter. Like, you don't want to go through thousands of restaurants. If you want something that's just a bistro, if you want something that's just Brazilian, if you want something that's just Guyanese, you want to be able to filter by that and get what you want quickly. So that's why I really want to stress on having filters, and I don't think we had that included within our build. So what I did was I told it in response to phase 4, which is directed pages, breadcrumbs, and JSON. I told it that I want to also have this specific filtering option. So I went ahead and pasted in some of the specific filtering that we have. And I told it that I want those filtering options to be within our application. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to say in regards to phase 4 and the filtering options above, what should we do first? Okay, so to keep changes digestible and easy to debug, we'll ship phase 4 in 4 mini steps, right? So first we can do step 1, right? And then it's going to do step 2, step 3, and step 4. Love it. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so let's go ahead and do this. We're going to head back over to Bolt, and we're going to go ahead and paste that in. So for step 2, I'm going to tell ChatGPT I want this for all categories. We don't have to fill. So I'm just telling it I want, because it's giving me the filtering options just for restaurants, but I want it for all categories. So I'm just telling it to make that happen. Let's go back over to Bolt. Great, everything seems good there. So I think if we go to education, boom, no business found. Awesome, this looks great. Our breadcrumbs look good, so all business education. Everything looks really, really clean here. I am loving this. So essentially it's turning the one-off restaurant filter into a reusable per category filter system. So facet dictionary, generic filter panel, category, okay, column updates. Okay, so now let's go ahead and copy over this. I'm just going to copy over all of the code. So I'm going to tell it, so I'm going to copy this and put this into Bolt. Let's come back over to ChatGPT. And we had already gotten I think this is the code here. And I've also went ahead and copied over the code that we got back to do the filtering for specific restaurants. And I'm going to tell it that below is the code for setting up filtering and make it so I can add filters if needed. Okay, so I'm just going to pop that all into the tool, right? I'm going to give it everything, and I'm sure it's going to be able to take it and use that information, right? So restaurants, location. Okay, so it's going ahead and created a flexible filtering system for all business categories. I'm going to let it do its thing, but overall, as you can see, we're progressing really, really well. And it's not often that you're going to progress this smoothly. As I said, I tried building this 3 times before this, but you learn from what you've done. And that's why it's so important to have your ChatGPT chat going, because it will learn from what worked and what doesn't work, and then reiterate and improve from that to ensure that the next iteration works, right? The AI is going to be much smarter than you at remembering all the nuances, and it will get much better at understanding how to build whatever you're looking to build. So we had an issue here of no such file or directory apps/web. So I'm just going to go ahead and tell Bolt to fix that issue. So here is what's next. So 4.3. So let's just go up quickly and see if we did 4.2. Yeah, so I think we did that restaurant specific filter bar. We did do that. So let's go ahead to 4.3. So city pages, and then 4.4 is business detail skeleton. Cool, so it looks like it's working, whatever that error was. And let's just go quickly. So 4.3, which is city pages. And I would say, like, what I've learned, and maybe this is called vibe coding, but what I've learned is that when you're flowing, when things are working, just continue going. because there's going to be times where things will work very, very smoothly, and there's going to be times where things will work horribly, like you cannot get anything done. So what I'm going to do here now is I'm going to deploy this. So the reason why I'm deploying this is because one, it's going to ship my information into, or my app into production. It's going to save all of these changes. And if I continue building and I make any major mistake and I want to go back, I can go back to the point that it's been deployed. So always deploy when you're happy with where you're at, just so that you're saving all of those changes. So we had a build error. So now let's go ahead and take a look at our build error and try to figure this out before we continue. Because if you can't deploy to Netlify, then you cannot essentially do anything, because then your website will not be able to be live on Google. So it got failed here. So to figure out what went on, just head over to netlify.com, go to deploys, and ask why did it fail. And usually it tells you why it's failed. Okay, so it's telling us exactly why. So we're going to copy this over and just literally plug that into bolt.new. So I've learned this after how to do this. So this will save you a lot of time, right? So if you get an error, just literally go check it on Netlify and then see what the issue is, and then come back over. So this issue again, I've seen this issue a couple of times. Let's go ahead and try this out again. So I hope that this doesn't remove what we just did, and that's why we're running into that issue with Netlify. I think there's probably still an issue here because, again, as you can see, the preview is not showing up. Let's see. What could be the issue here? So let's go back over to deploys. We saw that it failed. And we're just going to put this in again. This time we're going to use the thinking function. I find that a lot of times when you use that, you actually get some better outputs, because again, the AI takes a little bit of time to just think before it acts. Okay. So still we're getting issues with our preview. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go back all the way up to the top here, where it asks me to put in that that function into terminal to see if that will give me the reason why our preview is not working. I believe it was this. So PNPM filter. So I'm going to head back over. I'm going to open up a new terminal. There seems to be no issues. Okay, so we're good. Sometimes it's just a little bit odd, but that's a nice little trick that you can use to get it working. So now I'm going to try publishing this again. And let's see if we run into any build issues. But once it publishes, then we're happy and we're good to go. Deploy failed again. So let's go ahead and see what the issue was. 1254, why did it fail? So again, we can go ahead and copy this over. I'm not sure if it failed because of I clicked into that page, but let's go ahead and try it again and see if it will run properly. Okay, so it looks like the same issue. So I'm going to go ahead and paste in the information that we got back. Now let's see what we can do here. So I believe you can see that the issue was introduced here by the filter panel. So again, that's why sometimes it's good to deploy before you make a lot of changes. So let's hope we can deploy here and get everything up and working. So now that we've made those changes and we had to do a little bit of troubleshooting, we can see here that our application has just been deployed to Netlify, and it looks exactly, and this is why it's very important, it must look exactly the same on Netlify than the way that it looks on your preview. So everything works now. We've been able to deploy it. So I think this is a good place for us to stop, and then we'll come back once I've made more changes. So again, to confirm, what we did was the major changes that we did was we fixed the Superbase issue, right? We did an upgrade to our UI and our UX, and it looks a lot better. It looks very modern. Everything looks great. We went ahead and recreated our breadcrumbs, our categories. We filled out the code for filtering, and we're essentially set up now to start creating the skeleton of our actual business profile. So in next video, we'll be building out the skeleton for our business profile. We'll be setting up comments, thumbs up, and we'll be getting everything set up so that our business profile will look great. We also solved a major Netlify deployment issue that we were having where we were not able to deploy our application. And I showed you guys how to go into Netlify, get the diagnosis, and fix that on Bolt. Now, in the next video, we'll be setting up the actual business profile to see what it will look like. We'll be making it rich with content and information and features to really allow us to build a beautiful profile for businesses and to allow other businesses or business owners to, and also allow business owners to add their own business. Users will be able to thumbs up or leave a comment and create a profile. So we'll be doing all of that in the next video. Take care.